Hi, I'm Jed Gardner. Welcome to our program, The Antique Detective. And today on the program, we're going to be discussing the three main points to buying antiques well. If you can follow these points, you'll find that you'll have some more fun, you'll make better purchasing decisions, and you'll realize more profit when you go to sell the items later on. So follow me in and we'll get started right away. So I'm going to start right into the first point to buying antiques well. And the first point doesn't sound very interesting, but it's really necessary, and that is doing the research on the items. One of the main things that's revolutionized this business is the internet. So we can use the internet to our advantage. A lot of antique dealers have been slow to use the internet as a tool. It's an amazing resource tool. It's also an amazing reference tool for pricing. And that's one of the things that's absolutely key, is that you can find out what things are selling for at that time, and then when you're buying, you're going to make better and educated decisions. So as a novice, you want to buy things that are categorizable. You don't want to get too much into things that aren't signed or aren't marked. You want to buy sterling silver that has a pattern, and then you can look up the pattern online. As long as you know the name and the weight and so forth, and all of the details around that piece, then you can put the information in to the computer, and for sure you'll get a number of hits, and you'll get a good idea of what that piece will sell for on retail level, perhaps, a wholesale level, and maybe an insurance level. So here's an example of something that's categorizable. It's a nice little oil painting by J.E. Morel. And if you put in that information and the size and so forth in the computer, it's amazing the information that you'll get on the artist. You'll get his birth date, when he died. You might find auction prices that his works have sold for. So you can really get a good feel. So if you were coming into my shop, you could, and you really like that painting, put that information out into the computer and then see what a fair price would be. You don't want to really overpay for something, because then you're going to be in a deficit position and it won't be as good an investment potential. So that's point number one. It's of significant importance, and it's not that hard. So if you can follow that, you'll do well in your buying. So we're on to point number two on three points about buying antiques well. And point number two is also of significant importance, but it's actually more of an observation that I've made through my 20 years of being an antique dealer. And that's the difference between your average sort of novice buyer and the expert buyer, or the dealer buyer, the professional buyer. And the difference is quite extreme, and often I can tell who the dealers are and who just the browsers are, because the dealers are really looking at all of the pieces, and they're looking very carefully. They're looking all around. They're really taking everything in and making constantly making assertions as to the quality of the piece, as compared to the pricing, the desirability of the piece, the marketability of the piece. And so they're really open to trying to see as much as possible and not missing the potential good buy. So, and often the browser isn't really looking at very much at all, and a lot of times they're looking for one very specific item. You know, they'll be looking for a blue teacup or something like that. But what they've done is they've really put blinders on themselves, and they're really not opening up themselves to seeing things that are incredible. They might have a Picasso in front of them or a Michelangelo, and they wouldn't see it because they're looking for that blue teacup. So one of the second point is just opening up yourself to the experience. And what you're going to do by opening yourself up is learn more. You're going to get more information. You'll make better decisions because you'll be seeing more items. You can really dig through stuff. A lot of times a junk shop has stuff buried. Even in here, I have stuff in drawers or hidden away. So really open yourself up, and you'll make better purchases as well. So that's really of significant importance. third point, and perhaps the most important point to buying antiques well, is really looking at the item. And a lot of times on the road show, for example, they'll have a painting and it'll be up on an easel and they'll be looking at it. Well, this is not how we look at antiques. It's really critical that you get the item in your hands and you really look at it, and you can use all of your senses. You can use your eyes, of course. You can use your hands, particularly on porcelain. This is effective because you can feel chips that you might not see, or you can also feel repairs. Sometimes there's repairs done, and you want to know when you're buying the piece what's been done to a piece or what deficiencies the piece may have. So really use your hands. You can also use your ears. A piece of porcelain, this doesn't have good tonality, but a piece of porcelain should have a ringing tone if it's completely intact. If it's a dull thud or if it's not ringing, it might mean that there's a problem with the structure of the piece. So really use all of your senses, and the same applies for like on a piece of furniture. A lot of times in a showroom, it'll be sitting on the floor. You want to pick it up. You want to use your hands again. You can give it a knock. See, if there's anything loose, you'll hear it rattling. Take a look on the underside. Really look at the condition. What you don't want to do is get something home and say, oh, darn, the leg has been repaired, and then you can't negotiate after the fact. So antiques are beautiful, but they are used things, and so sometimes they're abused, and other times they're kept almost in like new condition. So it's really important to the pricing, the condition of a piece. So don't be afraid to really look at it. Ask the dealer if he knows what's been modified or repaired, or if it's original or not. So all of these points will help you to make a good purchase, and then you'll be a better consumer, and you'll make better purchasing decisions. So those are the three main points to buying antiques well. I'm Jed Gardner. Thanks for being with us today on The Antique Detective. My whole objective with this program is to make antiques both fun and profitable. We'll see you next time.
그래서 대충